What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do another GAMESPEAK. I think this is like GAMESPEAK number 4 or maybe 5. I don't know. I haven't done this in a long time, y'all. But we're back here. I found some interesting content that I did see some time ago, but I never really looked into it until recently. And when I did, I was impressed. So I wanted to make a video talking about it. And that is Bionicle. All right, so many of y'all probably know, if you're around my age at least, pretty sure that you know Bionicle. Bionicle was like, to me, Lego's peak. Lego was kind of like, it's cool, but I don't really need it right now, until Bionicle came out. And when Bionicle dropped, I was all over my parents for it. Had to get it, had to get it, had to get it. We're gonna take a little bit of a ride down memory lane with these two projects that I came across from the indie game community. Indie developed Bionicle games, but the games that I'm seeing now are like your childhood coming real. I feel that we should just go in, take a look at both games, just kind of give our impressions about them. Maybe y'all can tell me what y'all think inside the comments. Let's get it popping. All right, so the first game that I want to look at is called Bionicle Masks of Power. And this game is from Team Konohi. There is an actual website that they have talking about the game. Right here is a combat gameplay, and I looked at this on their YouTube channel. It came out like 11 months ago, so almost a year from now. Wait, what? Where's my sound at? Hold on one second, y'all. Alright, so I believe that those are the Toas when they descended down to Matanui. I don't really remember the story that much. Okay. I feel like, hold on, let me see if I can up the resolution. It's only 10. Oh my gosh. Alright, so they only post a 1080p video, so that's why it looks a little bit like blurry. Oh, I thank Matanui you're here. Okay. Huh. I don't remember how the Toa and them sounded back inside a movie. I think they just had like typical voices, but here they kind of have like a slight robotic voice to it. I think that's pretty cool. So I don't remember the green one's name, but I think it'll probably show up. But he was the one with levitation. Liwa. It says right there, Liwa. His mask allows him for levitation, but I did see that you can change the masks regardless of the character that you're playing as, which I assume will allow you to have those like levitation benefits and stuff, even if you're not, for example, Liwa. To me, the movement, they were talking about like near automata, at least for the fighting. The movement feels a little stiff. The fighting, it does feel like it's impactful. So for example, when they when he's making contact with the enemies, at least from the sounds that I'm hearing, it does seem like there's like a nice impact there. Sometimes a lot of games feel kind of empty, even if it's fast paced and has like flashy moves. It feels kind of empty. This one at least feels like it'll be a little bit like you'll feel the weightiness of it. The environment looks lush. I do wonder how big each zone is, like how much. Oh, okay, so this is where he was changing the mask, and I kind of like that little menu that they had. It's very well developed. Like it feels very Bionicle. These flying things, I don't really know the names of like the little small enemies. I know like the Borax and stuff like that. We're gonna speed up because I don't want to. If you guys want to watch the full video, I had the link posted down inside the description below for the website, and then you can check it out. Again, the fighting, oh yeah, see, that's what I like. That's what I like. So he's using the mask of Tahu. I believe the red Toa was called Toa Tahu. And yeah, that looks dope. I could see the inspiration from Near Automata. So I think he's gonna change it back to the green one. In this case, it should make him have more. I wonder if the fighting changes a little bit. Still pretty fast paced nonetheless. But oh, he's doing special attacks. So like he was just throwing, I think like air blast, kind of like an airbender. So I think that that's specific to his levitation mask. Let's move forward. I guess this is kind of like a, not really a boss, but like a stronger enemy. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at the rest of the world.
Bionicle, masks of power.
Cool attention to detail.
Find the power, relive the legend at masksofpower.com.
Okay, so that was Masks of Power. Again, developed by Team Konohi, and overall my impression of it is that the visuals, it's only a 1080p video, which kind of sucks. I don't know why they didn't post a 4K video, but the world seems, I couldn't really understand how big the world is going to be based off of that video alone, but it does seem diverse. Like they mentioned inside the press files, it is going to have six distinct element themed regions. And those regions are going to obviously be for each of the separate TOA. So it's going to be interesting to see how each region differentiates from another. Also, how big each region is and how much of a story there is. I do like that you can communicate with the population around you. Like he was talking to that one smaller guy. I don't know how free roaming that's going to be, if it's just going to be people walking around that you can freely talk to, and some of them will give you missions, some of them won't, or if they'll only be around when they're there to give you a mission. Again, it's an indie developed game, so I would say temper your expectations on the scale. Like I said, it was 2 Bionicle games that I was interested in, and so I want to take a look at the other game called Quest for Matanui. Now I looked around, this one doesn't have a website, at least not to my knowledge. They do have a Discord page that you can follow along for updates with. I'll have that link inside the description below. I did take a brief look at this game, but why don't we take another look at it? They had a video up from a year ago, which is not that far from Masks of Power.
The legendary Toa continue in their quest to collect the masks of power and liberate the island from the shadow of the Makuta.
So right now from this trailer, it seems definitely more story driven. At least that they have like big expectations for their storytelling.
Quest for Matanui.
I like that both of them have voice acting for their trailers. Okay, and so a long time ago when I did see a clip of an indie developed Bionicle game, I'm pretty sure it was this one, because I remember seeing, if my naming is correct, Tahu, which was one of my favorite Bionicles, running around inside this very same environment. Already taking a look at it right here. Whoa. So already taking a look at it right here. This game is definitely darker and grittier. However, the attacks definitely seem way more impactful. I'm just not too sure how appealing this gritty art style will be to the grand Bionicle fan base, or if they would prefer a more light, kind of a light, I don't know the word I'm looking for, a lighter game that's more open world, like Masks of Power. Again, this also doesn't tell us anything about whether it's going to be open world or not. That's pretty cool. That's cool. I hope that you can do something like that in Masks of Power as well. But I wonder if this game is going to be a bit more linear than what Masks of Power is trying to accomplish. So just going to talk about some of the elements. We're going to skip along here.
the Toa will need to make use of additional tools at their disposal in order to illuminate and navigate them.
In this one, you can change masks as well, and that mask right there, I believe, is not a mask that any of the Toa actually use. I think it was one of the masks that the smaller Bionicles use.
2001 Tahu promotional video.
Yeah, the fighting does look way more
This ability helps greatly
impactful. So I guess if the previous...
but other...
Let's pause it real quick, because I'm kind of talking over him. I guess if the previous game, Mass of Power, is kind of like Nier Automata, this one to me feels like Devil May Cry. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but just looking at it in my jacked up memory, that's how I kind of see the difference between the two. Let's see if they have other elements. Okay. Alright, so this is cool. They're probably talking about Liwa's mask. But this is cool because we just saw Liwa inside Mass of Power, and that was a jungle environment, and now we're seeing Liwa in Quest for Matanui, and this is a jungle environment. So we're seeing the differences between the two art styles for the Bionicle games. Like I said, this one's definitely much darker, grittier. That's not a bad thing. I'm curious to see how the community will choose between the two. But I also don't think that it's just going to be about the art style. I think that it's going to be about the gameplay and everything else as well involved, because like I said, this game seems much more linear.
And during the jump,
oh wow, so he's fighting a similar enemies that we just saw in Mass of Power. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Making you immediately much more effective in close quarter combat.
Whoa, let's go back to that. Oh, okay, this is what was his name? Okay. Oh, I remember those discs. I used to have them with, like, I think we used to get them with like the McDonald's kids meals. They used to have some Bionicles that come with them and you could fling the discs. So one thing I just want to point out is that Tahu's arm is kind of like bending in the forearm right here. Just to recap, this game is darker. It also seems a lot more linear, right? But the fighting seems way more impactful. In this particular video that they were discussing the fighting a lot, I didn't want to waste too much time watching all the small details. So again, I'll have the link inside the description for you guys to go check out. But again, this is very, very different from what we were seeing with Masks of Power, right? And which is, it's just lighter, right? When he was fighting, like I said, from sound wise, it seems like it's going to be impactful, like you're going to feel each hit that you apply. But compared to Quest for Matanui, it just seems like it's probably going to be a little bit more, a little less like, I don't know, explosive. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to say one's better than the other. I'm just trying to say they're different there. How do I feel about the two? Like this image right here, I wish I could zoom in on it, but it looks great. How do I feel about the two? I feel like they need to lean into the differences that they have, right? With Mass of Power, like it said inside a press file, it's looking for an open world kind of Zelda-like experience, and it needs to shoot for that, and it needs to make that world feel very alive and very diverse, and they need to flood it with things to do, because that's the nature of an open world game. Whereas Quest for Matanui, it's already on track to be, from what I'm seeing, a much more linear story-driven game, and so they should probably lean into that. And I think that what they should do is they should probably make it feel more like almost like a Souls game, where each battle that you get into is invigorating and you might die from every single hit, right? Quest for Matanui needs to be a challenging game. I feel like it needs to be a challenging game. Now, if we're talking about the visuals, not so much the dark versus the light art style. That doesn't really matter to me if you're going for different art tones. What matters to me about Quest for Matanui is how shiny the Bionicles look, particularly Liwa. Like, if you take a look here, he just looks like he's kind of like sweaty, and I feel like it's hard to see it. It's hard to find like a good scene. But if you take a look, like right here, this Bionicle enemy, you can see like the shine right here. I'm not really a fan of it. I don't really like the shine. I really do prefer it to be a little bit more matte in the coloring. But maybe they could change that as they continue to develop it, or maybe they prefer it that way and then they'll just keep it that way. That's up to the developers. But in my opinion, I prefer what is going on with Mask of Power, where it just seems more uniform. The light versus the dark art tone, again, I'm not talking about that. That's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about that glossy shine that we're seeing right here. Gosh, that was perfect. Yeah. If they could tone that down, I think that would be my only gripe with the way how that's being developed right now. Again, this is just my first impressions. I'm not trying to go in depth about every little element about the games. Overall, what do I think about the project? I think that these are the games that, both of them, as different as they are and as similar as they are, both of them are the games that us, when we was children playing with Bionicles, these are the games that, this is the world that we were envisioning as we were playing with these Bionicles, as we were watching the movies, so on and so forth. My only issue is just with the nature of indie developed games, right? Back in the day, it used to be that if it was a AAA game, you can expect it within, 2 years or so to come out, and you get access to that game, where indie developed games will be stuck in constant development. Nowadays, AAA games end up the exact same way because it takes so much more to develop a game. So the timing of the game and how long it's going to take to actually come to fruition, I'm not too much worried about that. I'm also worried about the politics around indie community developing a game and doing it so well that it gets the attention of the IP owners. This is the game that Bionicle fans want, that Lego won't give us. So Bionicle fans decided to make it themselves. The problem is, as a company, if I was in charge of Lego and then I started seeing a game, even if it's for free, starting to garner extensive attention, I'm going to start looking at that, right? Because technically as a company, I need to make sure that I am utilizing our IPs to make as much profit as possible. If we have a whole community out there building games on their own and we're not a part of that, that means that we're missing out on potential financial gain. These games cost money to make. I don't know how indie developers manage their time and how they manage to make these games, but I know at some point money has to play a part, which means that they're probably going to have to do some kind of crowdfunding because they obviously can't offer this game for a price. That might not sit well with Lego if this game starts getting attention, because at the end of the day, that's money going to these indie developers that Lego thinks should be going to them. So my fear is that these games are going to keep developing and keep getting great and start slowly becoming that perfect thing that we all want. And as it gets closer to that reality, it gets further away from our grasp because Lego starts to get closer to stepping in and shutting it all down. That's just my opinion, but up until then, as soon as I can get my hand on any of these games, I'm going to be playing it on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell icon if you want to see me play any of these games as soon as I have access to it. But for now, that's my first impressions of these two Bionicle indie games, Mask of Power and Quest for Matanui. I recommend you guys check out the links below to go see the other videos that they have on them. Also, join their Discord if you're interested. But with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap up this GameSpeak here. I'm planning on doing another GameSpeak about another indie developed game, and that one's going to be about Naruto. I just came across that recently. I joined the Discord. That's another game that is the game that we all want, but we never actually get. So it's going to be very interesting to see that game go through its development, but it's also going to be very interesting to see how the IP holders, I think it's Shonen Jump, reacts to that game, because from what I know, Japanese companies are usually a little bit more strict on people taking free range on their content, and they're more willing to step in and kind of shut things down. We all know Nintendo's notorious for it. Up until that point, hopefully it never comes. And hopefully we get access to the game and we can play it freely. But until then, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. So no one down the bag. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.